Hello everybody and welcome to the next episode in Tom's chat room. Notice I've stopped numbering them. That's because I can't remember what order I'm supposed to put them up in. So if I don't number them, I don't have to. I can put them up in any order I want. But today, well, I say today, there could be two out in one day for all I know. But on this episode of Tom's chat room, to get to the point, I'm joined by a member of a team. No, it's not a footballer, not a rugby star. I'm joined by a member of the 5-person team that brings you every week the Total Wrestling Show. My guest at this time, in the words of every WWE announcer ever, my guest at this time is Steve Grieve.
Hello Tom, how you doing?
How you doing, dude? So obviously I've got you here because you are one part of the 5-person team that brings us TWS. So tell us about how you became part of TWS.
In a nutshell, really, I knew Andy. We used to work together, and to be honest, any opportunity we got in passing, really, we tended to talk about wrestling. Found out very quickly that we were both wrestling fans. And Andy told me about another project that he was working with. And I used to listen to him every week. I used to call in every week. And basically we were both such rabid wrestling fans that we would stand and talk and generally forget to do our work and get into a lot of trouble. But when that project finished and Andy took a little break for a few months, he sort of approached me and said, if I wanted to do something, would you be interested in coming on and doing it? And I said, I'd definitely be up for that. It's something that I wanted to do. I tried to get myself involved in other shows as well before TWS started, and it's something I definitely wanted to do. And I said, just, I know these things are going to take time. Let me know what's going to happen. I think within a week, we had a name, we had a domain. Dan had been contacted already, and we were sat in a pub talking about how we were going to do it. So there was me thinking, this is going to take a huge amount of time to happen. And then I think within 2 weeks, we were ready to go. It was an incredibly quick process, which I think you can tell by the first couple of podcasts that we released back in January 2011. But it was Andy's brainchild, and we kind of worked together as a team with Dan, and right at the beginning with Hayley as well, and came together with this idea.
So obviously you've been one of the founders, I suppose is the word, of TWS, along with Dan and Andy. Now I've asked this question to Andy, and I'll be asking the same question to Dan. What are your highlights of the 2 years, or 2 and a bit now?
Oh God, there's so many. It was. I think the first biggest highlight I can pick out, apart from the fact that when we first went and did our live show, we did 3 recorded podcasts, which I've listened back to recently and thought, oh God, we sounded awful. One of the first big highlights when we first went live, we went live to Rumble. For the Royal Rumble 2011, and it was kind of like, right, no mistakes, this is it, there's no second chance, we're going out live to whoever's listening to us, and to have the amount of people we had in there at the time, being a show that had only been on the air for 2 weeks, was incredible. It was such a good thing to think people actually wanted to sit and listen to me talk about wrestling. I mean, they didn't even know who I was. Obviously knew who Andy was, but they wouldn't have had any idea who I was, and it was quite a really good feeling. And then the next big moment came literally a few weeks later when we booked our first interview with arguably a massive legend in Al Snow, and sat and talked for an hour to Al Snow. And I mean, Andy will attest to this. I sat for this interview just shaking. Every time I tried to ask a question, I was muttering it out. I was so nervous because I'd been such a massive Al Snow fan. And for it to be the first interview that I'd ever done, I'd never dreamed in a million years that I would ever talk to a professional wrestler, let alone someone that had worked through ECW, WCW, WWE, into TNA, and had such a massive effect on the business and be such a brain for the business. they were some really, really early, massive highlights, because that was, I mean, when the interview finished and I marked out a big styling. It was such an incredible time right at the beginning.
So obviously with great highs come great lows. So have you got any of those low points?
I don't think I've got any sort of major low points as such. I think, the first time we ever went to go live on WrestleMania, we had our very first ever and now becoming infamous TWS.
The Lost Show.
Yeah.
The Lost Show.
The Lost Show. And, we had such a massive listening live figures that day and a massive chat room. And they stuck with us. I've got to admit, everyone that was in that chat room for that show stuck with us. We were going on the air, off the air. We couldn't get it recorded. The audio was awful. And they still stayed with us. It was such a testament. But, I mean, I just sat there, dropped my head into my hands and thought, I can't believe this just happened. I really can't believe this has just happened. We'd had a good weekend. We'd been to do the official launch of WWE All Stars.
Mm-hmm.
Sheila Nishi was actually in Bournemouth and on that show, who most people know from the chat room as our first ever head mod. Was actually in the studio, and it was kind of great to have him down, on the coast doing the show. And for it to then it just seemed to collapse. I mean, I was distraught for a couple of hours, and I thought, this is going to do me. We were going in to watch WrestleMania, and I was feeling really low. And, after a couple of hours, and we were talking about it, and I just thought, just got to let it go.
Yeah.
It was one of those things, it was never recorded. It's, as you said, it's regarded as the Lost Show. It's not even called WrestleMania Show anymore. And, by the end of WrestleMania, which was a reasonably good one, to be fair, I was kind of feeling a little bit better, and I just thought, these mistakes are going to happen. We were only 4 months old as a show, and those sort of mistakes were going to happen. Those type of issues were going to happen, and we're maybe a little bit more vigilant now when it comes to testing streams, testing internet, and testing our own hardware and software that we're using before we go online.
Now you've been involved in a great number of interviews of wrestling wrestlers, managers, and all sorts of people in the industry. So, do you have a favourite?
Oh, that's really difficult because you sometimes, you pick up on pictures of interviews, you don't expect anything to happen.
Mm.
We recently did Johnny from the Spirit Squad.
Yeah.
Because on the show we were talking, Dolph Ziggler had just cashed in Money in the Bank. So we thought we'll talk about the whole Spirit Squad, where are they now? And we reached out and Johnny Jetta came back to us and said, I'll do the interview. And me and Dan kind of sat there while this interview was starting and thought, well, it's going to be 10 minutes. We'll talk a bit about the Spirit Squad. We weren't really expecting
what you got
major.
Yeah.
And within 4 minutes, we were then the only media outlet to know why he officially left WWE.
Wow.
And me and Dan kind of just looked across the table. He stated in the interview that he had a painkiller addiction issue, and that's why he stepped away. He refused any treatment from WWE. He dealt with it himself, and I've got nothing but big up praise to him for doing it. And decided it was best that he stayed away from the business because of that. And me and Dan just looked across the studio at each other when this was said and just sort of muttered, worded to each other, what the hell was that? Because it took an interview that we weren't, expecting huge amounts for, and got this mind-blowing exclusive that we never expected we were going to get. And it's interviews like that. It'd be very easy for me to say, and my favourite interview was Al Snow, and my favourite interview was Chris Jericho because of the size of the stars that they are, or Jerry Jarrett, or Ivan Koloff, just because of the size of the guest and the history that goes behind it. But when you get something like that that's exclusive and just blows your mind away when you hear it, that's incredible. It's a really, really good feeling that someone, trusts you enough to talk to you about it while you're on the radio.
To give you an idea of what I got when I asked that question to Andy, he said Bret Hart because he was the first.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I said earlier on, Al Snow for me is always going to have a special place in my heart. And every time I hear that bumper that we play on the show from him, it always gives me a few goosebumps.
Mm. So, are there any low points from interviews? I kind of went when I went on this one with Andy. I said low points, or if there aren't any low points, talk about sometimes you might have been kayfabed.
Luckily not, I've never been kayfabed. I mean, I'm sure you'll have a good chat with Dan about that when you
Yep.
when you interview him.
That's why this question's here.
For me, excuse me, a low point of an interview was one that I was actually really looking forward to. We worked really hard to get it, and I thought it was someone who's going to be really charismatic, and we were going to have, and it was live. And it was since then we don't tend to do live interviews that often now. And that was with Brutus the Barber Beefcake, who we thought, you know, after watching on TV and seeing this very charismatic character, that it was going to be this really top interview and we're going to get all these sort of road stories about where he'd been and what he'd done. And I just, after about 10 minutes, I was calling for us to end the interview. It was just, you know, I don't like picking out worst stuff, to be honest, but if I did, that interview, unfortunately, because I'm a massive Brutus Beefcake fan, was a low interview for us.
Now, and Andy did mention that one when we spoke earlier. He mentioned the Brutus Beefcake interview and said the Brutus was a bit monotone, to say the least.
Yeah, it was, like I said, it was really disappointing to happen because he is someone that, you know, from a kid, I always watched and really enjoyed him, and he was always lively and energetic. And when you get someone that's been in the business for as long as he has, you know, you really expect to get some really interesting road stories, like Dan and Sybil got with Ted DiBiase on the latest On the Road South Side.
I'm looking forward to hearing Dan talk about that one when I get him on later.
Absolutely, I mean, it's fantastic, and it's, you know, you've got some real good road stories. We were expecting that from Brutus, and I think we kind of had our fingers slightly burnt there, and, you know, made us very dubious about doing live interviews. Obviously, we have done since, but we've been very careful about who we brought on. When we've done live interviews, we you know, Shane Douglas was a fantastic live interview. Nigel McGuinness, fantastic live interview. So we've been a little bit more careful about who's come on live.
So obviously, I'm trying to think where I'm going next. Yeah, let's segue a little onto wrestling in general. When you first started watching wrestling, what was it about wrestling that suckered you in, so to speak?
Well, when I started watching wrestling, it was a bit like when I first started watching football, to be honest. I didn't really have a choice. And since then grew a massive love for it. My mum and dad were big wrestling fans back when I was a kid. Going back, you know, a few years, I'm not going to say how many, going back a few years. They were massive wrestling fans, you know, early 90s. Late 80s, and really bought into that whole sort of cartoon character-y kind of episode of wrestling that you would see. My mum was a massive Shawn Michaels fan and Rockers fan, and I think it was because of that it was, you know, on quite a bit that I ended up watching it. But when I first really started to get into it was when I watched WrestleMania 6, and it was the first ever pay-per-view I watched, first ever WrestleMania, and it'll always have a special place in my heart, and I think that's where my kind of passion grew for it, because it was just so different than watching what I'd seen before, the clip shots straight together of someone destroying a jobber. You watch WrestleMania and there was actually people that you knew taking on someone else that you knew. It was kind of special, and that's when I really started to get into wrestling.
Now, have you got overall of all the years of watching wrestling, a favourite wrestler? If it's easier, do an all-time and of current, if you want.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, I think anyone that listens to the show knows I am a huge fan of Shawn Michaels. Absolutely massive fan of Shawn Michaels. I think he's, in my era, was the best on the stick, was the best in the ring, and you would just buy into anything he did. I really believe that guy could have match of the night with a broomstick. You know, he's just such an incredible talent. What people don't know is I've always been a massive fan of Dusty Rhodes, which isn't one of the, you know, like the coolest people. If people were asked who their favourite wrestlers, you know, I'd expect to hear Hogan or Warrior or Macho Man Randy Savage or Razor Ramon or, you know, or Shawn Michaels, those sort of names. And it's always, for me, from a kid, I don't know why I bought into it when I was a kid, but I just instantly just thought, oh, Dusty Rhodes is awesome. The American Dream. Absolutely loved it.
Mm. For me, I'd if asked that question, I'd say Mick Foley, and that makes it all so much sweeter when I met him a year or so ago.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'd love to be meeting some of these guys. I'm envious that Dan does get the opportunity to do these on-the-road podcasts because of the people he does get to meet.
Is there a favourite moment in wrestling history that you'll look back on and you're like, yeah, that's a good moment?
There's probably quite a few. I think, you know, being a massive Shawn Michaels fan, I think when he won the world title in his return in 2002 in the Elimination Chamber, because I just don't think anyone saw it coming.
In those horrendous brown tights.
In those horrendous brown tights, it was bad. The rumour has it that he forgot his ring gear or something, it wasn't ready, but I don't think anyone ever saw that happening. No one ever expected Shawn Michaels to win this title. You know, he came back at SummerSlam, he had an off-the-chart match with Triple H, no holds barred, kind of a deal. Everyone thought that was going to be it. And then he comes back and he wins the world title. And I don't think, in the first ever Elimination Chamber match, I don't think anyone's ever expecting it to happen. I think that's why it sticks in my mind, because even when he hit sweet chin music on Triple H, I sat there and thought, this isn't going to be a free. You know, Triple H is winning this match. There's no way Shawn Michaels is walking out with the title.
And then he did.
And, you know, for a few split seconds afterwards, I just sat and thought, did I just watch that?
Talking about Shawn Michaels, I was going to go on to something else, but I'll do that in a second. Talking about Shawn Michaels, I have heard people say that he wouldn't be in the Hall of Fame as he is if he hadn't come back. Do you agree or disagree on that?
I can understand why people would say it, because obviously he left not in particularly good circumstances. He was in a terrible place. I think he would have gone into the Hall of Fame. I think he might have been one of those people that might have not gone on quite yet.
Yeah.
I think at the point that he left, I don't think he would have been a leader of the Hall of Fame. He definitely would have gone in, and who knows, it might have been around now, it might be in a couple of years' time, but I think he's one of those people you would have banked on going in, like names like Ted DiBiase going in, and names like that, like Jake the Snake, who would bank at some point of going into that Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I don't think he would have gone in when he did.
Now, this is something I sort of did a little bit of Andy, and we spoke about, me and Andy, we did a form of, like, fantasy booking.
Right.
Now, let's say, for sake of argument, Vince McMahon phones you up tomorrow, and he says, Steve, I want you to book WrestleMania next year. He says, you can't have The Rock because The Rock's retired.
Excellent.
He says, you can't have The Rock. You can obviously use whatever you want of Brock Lesnar, but you're limited because of Brock Lesnar's contract. And he just says, take the WWE as it is. What would you do? What would some of your highlight matches be?
Wow. what a time to try and do it. Okay. To be perfectly honest, and I don't know what kind of reaction I would get for this, but I would do The Undertaker versus John Cena.
That's exactly what I said when me and Andy talked about it. How would you end that one, though?
There's no way in hell I would give him the streak.
Oh, okay. Well, me and Andy ended the streak.
No, in perfect honesty, John Cena does not need it.
I'll talk to you about the idea that me and Andy came up with when you finished your card for that one.
I think with the John Cena Undertaker thing, I think anyone that goes against Undertaker now is going to get the rub regardless. Mm-hmm. Because the streak is so massive now, and in all honesty, sometimes it pains me that it's true, but it is bigger than WrestleMania. It is bigger than the WWE title. Is the WWE title in that match for you? No, I wouldn't put it in there.
So Cena's lost the title somewhere between now and then?
Between now and then, yes.
Who's he lost it to?
He's lost the title, the WWE title, to Dolph Ziggler.
So Dolph Ziggler's got both then, or has Ziggler dropped his?
No. I think at this point the world title's moved on. If I was booking a WWE WrestleMania WWE title main event, I would be booking Dolph Ziggler versus CM Punk.
For the WWE title, Ziggler defending.
I don't think, at the moment, that there's really two people I think that could electrify an audience more, looking at the roster as it stands, than those two for the WWE title for the main event of WrestleMania.
Okay. What are you doing with the other titles?
The world title, I would absolutely love Wade Barrett to be in a position to be taking it on. I think the world title itself doesn't have to be the sort of the traditional WWE kind of match. So I think you could take someone like Wade Barrett and he could take on Sheamus,
Mm-hmm.
sorry, for the World Heavyweight title. And I'd be quite happy if that match even opened WrestleMania, as much as I moan about titles opening. I think a match like that could open WrestleMania very, very well.
Yeah. Are you going to use any part-timers? I mean, Brock Lesnar doesn't have a spot on this card.
You noticed?
Yeah.
To be honest, I'm not a big fan of bringing people back just for WrestleMania. It annoys me. Because I feel that a lot of people lose a spot that have earned it for 365 days of the year to people that come back for a payday. And I don't like it. I think if anyone listens to the show knows my very strong feelings on people like Rock and Brock. They're not so much aimed at people like Triple H or Chris Jericho, although Chris Jericho's annoying me at the moment not being about, but Triple H has always been with the WWE and hasn't left. So although he does come back and he will do those big matches, I can understand why, and it does make some sort of sense because the guy is still WWE through and through. Chris Jericho, more recently, I've been a fan of with his comeback because he hasn't just come back to do 4 out of 10 episodes of Raw. He's done Raws, he's done SmackDowns, he's done house shows, he's done all the pay-per-views, he's been putting people over.
Yeah.
And, Chris Jericho just carried on doing what Chris Jericho's been doing since 1999 in WWE.
Mm-hmm.
Just, a little bit less time spent in the year doing it. But he's, I would absolutely love to see Chris Jericho and The Miz take each other on.
Ooh. Yeah, that'd be a good one.
I'd be happy for either United States or Intercontinental titles to be on the line. I think it would add a bit of drama to it. I think, that could be a mid-card match on Mania that would bring the crowd alive.
Yeah.
You've got the biggest problem for me is trying to keep the titles relevant when there's so many of them.
Yeah.
You've got the United States title, which, do you know what Kofi's got at the moment? I don't think he's going to have past Extreme Rules. I think he's dropping it to Big E Langston.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel that title's getting so lost with so many other titles out of brand split. Both that and to be fair, and the Intercontinental title. But I think I want to focus more on the Intercontinental title because it's a WWE historical title.
Right.
I don't agree with titles being put on the pre-show. I think titles do deserve to be on the main show. I would love.
I'd quite like them to do on every pre-show without fail an NXT title match. I
agree. I said it since the beginning. Since they brought in the NXT Championship, I said, does this mean it's going to be on the pre-show pay-per-view? To
push the guys in NXT. So whoever is the NXT champion, you will have a match on the pre-show as sort of like your opening entryway into WWE.
I mean, the thing is, the problem is with them at the moment, they don't acknowledge NXT. I mean, otherwise they'll be saying Biggie, and he'll be walking out with the title.
I kind of think he should.
Biggie Langston should be walking out with the NXT Championship.
The only problem is, on NXT he's a face.
Yes, that is a side problem. I'm assuming in more recent tapings that's going to start.
They'll probably drop the title.
Do you know what? I haven't heard anything yet. They've taken the next 4 weeks of NXT, and I haven't heard anything about it being dropped. But who knows? I try and stay spoiler free on the.
Andy and me booked a massive angle that could change the face of wrestling At least we think it would.
Are you going to tell me John Cena and the Shield take out the Undertaker or something like that?
Well, sort of. What we booked is we booked WrestleMania 30, John Cena versus the Undertaker. It's a long, hard-fought match, and as the match reaches the end, there's a ref bump. Cena then uses a chair or a chain and knocks the Undertaker's spark out, pinning him by putting one foot over his chest, instantly becoming like the world's largest heel.
Okay.
Because the problem you've got is if you've turned Cena heel, right, and have him beat on a face. Say he beats on the Miz, and that's how you turn Cena heel. The problem you've got with that is the people like you and me who currently boo Cena will cheer him because we think the Miz is a bit of an idiot. Some of us do, and we think Cena's being a badass would be good, and then the kids will be booing him. If Cena takes out the Undertaker is our boy, so we don't like Cena for ending the streak, so we're mad at him, so we still boo him. John Cena's done something bad, therefore the kids boo him. Cena instantly becomes a heel to every audience.
I do understand where you're coming from. And yeah, that would be the ultimate way. Like I've said on the show before, the only way to turn John Cena heel is to do it as big as when they turned Hogan heel to NWO and WCW.
Well, that's what me and Andy said. We said doing something like that could be the new NWO moment. We even booked his downfall, Cena's downfall.
Is that typical of us wrestling fans?
Yeah.
That we're still, although we talk about the Shield all the time, right? And there's no doubt about it, the fact is they are immense.
Yeah.
And I'm such a massive fan. I've been massive fans of 2 out of 3 of them. I'm not a massive fan of Roman Reigns, but Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins I've been a massive fan for a long time. And to see them getting their spot on the roster, makes me happy. But we even said on the show, so how do they split up? And we're already thinking, how's the Shield going to finish? Instead of how's it going to grow or how's it going to continue?
Yeah. Well, the way we did it with our sort of fantasy book is we booked like 3 years of WWE.
Mm.
We just sort of using like big points. We had Cena doing that to the Undertaker next year at WrestleMania. Cena then going on a tirade as the champion who defeated the Undertaker, and then the following year, building up to WrestleMania, Cena says, "I beat the Undertaker, I therefore own the streak, and I will defend the streak at WrestleMania." He defends the streak at WrestleMania against Undertaker, who comes back for another shot. Says, "You beat me last year, I want another shot." Cena beats him again. Then the third year, Undertaker comes out and says, "I'm not going to face you this year at WrestleMania because I don't think I can beat you. Instead, I'm going to put my eggs in this basket behind somebody else." And Undertaker pushes for and by that point face Ziggler, who beats Cena at WrestleMania 32 and takes the streak back off of the evil John Cena, and Undertaker can go off into the sunset knowing that his streak is in the hands of somebody good.
Wow.
And you could essentially have Ziggler defend the streak every year. Treat the streak like a championship belt that can only be defended at WrestleMania.
So, in essence, what you built there is a WrestleMania title.
It's essentially a WrestleMania title, yeah, and because that's essentially what the streak is, right?
Okay, can I reverse it round to you then? An obvious question for me is, do we need another title to be defended at WrestleMania? I think Undertaker defending the streak, because it's his streak. I think when he stops, and I still don't think he should ever drop it. When he stops, that should be it. There should be no, I'm going to take the baton, or in some way or other. I think that should be the end of it, because I think that, like I said earlier on, his streak has become bigger than anything else.
I think though, if you do something like that, you merge a couple of championships down as well.
Mm.
So you merge the WWE and the World title into so that it becomes the WWE World Heavyweight Championship.
Mm.
Because that, you know, then hell, you could have somebody do a Jericho and have 2 belts if you want.
Yeah, when he was the undisputed champion. Also, I think the other problem with giving anyone the Undertaker's streak,
Right.
is that you're saying that he's better than Batista, that he's better than Ric Flair, that he's better than Shawn Michaels, that he's better than Triple H.
Well, no, you see, that's the thing. If you have Cena win it with dirty tactics, what you're doing is you're saying Cena went into that match knowing he couldn't beat The Undertaker. So Cena went to these lengths to beat The Undertaker. What a horrible person this John Cena is. He cheated The Undertaker out of his career.
Yeah, again, but we have also seen that, you know, these sorts of tactics tried to be used before.
Yeah.
Giant Gonzalez tried to choke him out. We've had a 2-on-1 match.
Yeah.
We've had Triple H in a cell with his best mate as the referee, who was throwing chair shots and super kicks at anyone that moved. You know, we've kind of seen that those people trying to chance or take an upper hand before. I do understand where the booking's coming from, and yes, it would turn John Cena probably into the biggest heel possible.
It's the only way, in my opinion, you can turn Cena heel and have him as a heel to everyone, because otherwise you are going to get the smarmy gits like us who will have Cena like, oh yeah, look at Cena, he's really cool now, he's doing all this cool stuff, and you know, you got all the teenage kids. John Cena's pretty cool now, you know, and he's saying all this bad stuff, and he's doing all this and that, the other, and telling people what he really thinks of them instead of being Superman. He's instead of being Santa Claus, he's this like horrible bloke, you know. But if you do it the way I'm looking at it, you honestly have Cena pretty much stay the same as he is, right? So you have Cena play. Cena cheats to beat The Undertaker, and instead of changing his character and going back to like rapper Vanilla Icing Cena is essentially, well, I'm John Cena. Nobody can beat me. Nobody ever beats John Cena. Because I'm John Cena, and because I'm John Cena. Hell, if you want, you can have him just to rile us up. Hell, I'm John Cena. I'm fucking Superman.
Could you not?
You know what I mean? And you have Cena do it like that. I'm John Cena. I'm bloody Superman. What are you gonna do?
Couldn't you have had him do that with The Rock at WrestleMania this year?
You probably should have, yeah. You know, nobody beats John Cena. I'm Superman. And, you know, I'm Superman. You're not worthy. None of you people in this crowd are worthy. Not you, or you. Nobody's worthy because I'm John Cena, and I'm John Cena, and I own the streak.
Okay. I mean, I understand where you come from. I will never agree with Undertaker dropping the streak, I must admit. Mm. But what if you went to Extreme Rules in a couple of weeks' time, where he's taken on Ryback, someone else again that he's never beaten, some WWE trying to again rebuild into a monster.
Yeah.
After some very weird booking at WrestleMania. What if John Cena won that match with the help from the Shield? What if he said, you know, I knew I couldn't beat Ryback. I haven't beaten Ryback yet. I got myself some help. You've got a slight plot hole with the fact that they've been attacking Cena. Yeah, they have. But we can. So are you essentially making the Shield into mercenaries? The storyboard going on. Hireable mercenaries. Everyone's got a price. That could work. That could actually work. I totally agree. If he was to go over The Undertaker in a really cheating heel way at WrestleMania and ended the streak, instant heel, without doubt. I don't even want him to use the AA or anything. Literally, I just want him to grab that chain that he used to wrap around his neck, right? Wrap it round his hand. One hand, side of The Undertaker's face, knocking spark out. And just not even getting down for the cover. Do you remember the old cocky Jericho, 1 foot on the chest pin? Yeah, no, I remember that when he used to do the arm showing off pose. One foot on the chest,
folding it, one foot on his chest, folding one arm across his chest, and doing the "you can't see me" hand gesture over the top of the fallen Undertaker.
It would turn him heel.
That man wouldn't get out. That man would have problems getting out of the building.
And that's the sort of heat that you want if you want him to go heel.
He'd have problems getting out of that building. That's, honestly, they'd have to arm guard him out of that building, I think. Because WrestleMania 30, you're in New Jersey, aren't you? Not New Jersey, no, you're not. You're in, what's it called? New Orleans. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't think he'd get out of the building. I think he'd have problems getting out of the building.
I really do think, I mean, it also feels to me that those sort of days where, wrestlers struggle to get out of the building because of a thing they've done is kind of gone now.
Yeah, but it could happen again if they did that.
I mean, you read a lot of old wrestlers' books, like Classy Freddie Blassie, or if you read Bobby...
Sending them out in ambulances and stuff like that.
Yeah, just to hide them away. I mean, Classy Freddie Blassie talks about, in his book, being chased in his car by someone else in a car because he'd done this massive heel thing on a show. I think because that fourth wall, that glass ceiling's been broken now, I don't think people buy into that drama as much as they used to.
Yeah.
I think it's really...
I kind of think though you've got to do something huge like that to Undertaker to get the attention of the smart wrestling fans.
You've also got someone like the Undertaker who, with
all
due
Undertaker
respect,
would do it as well.
That's what I wonder if he would. I mean, I'm assuming he would have some sort of creative control over that.
Yeah, but I mean, if you essentially put it to Undertaker, we're going to make John Cena into the biggest heel since Hogan turned. We're going to make John Cena into a heel arguably bigger than Hogan was at Bash at the Beach. Now, at that Bash at the Beach, they were throwing trash in the ring.
Oh yeah, completely.
That is what honestly, I want Cena while he's doing that cocky pin with one arm across his chest doing the sign. Honestly, I want to see beer flying.
Okay, let's try a different way. I can't believe I'm doing this. I don't usually do fantasy booking. What if we got to SummerSlam and it was John Cena versus Undertaker at SummerSlam? And that's how John Cena defeats The Undertaker at SummerSlam.
The thing with it being at SummerSlam...
And you build up to the streak for The Undertaker at WrestleMania that way.
The thing with it being at SummerSlam is, I think, you get more traction if he does it at Mania. Mania is your biggest crowd. Not obviously both in the arena and watching at home. If you're going to turn John Cena into like the ultimate heel, you want to do it in front of the biggest audience. You want the people who are watching the match thinking. You want the people who have bought WrestleMania just. Do you know what? WrestleMania is this weekend. I'm going to buy it. You want those people, right? Honestly, you want those people you want people to be calling their pay-per-view provider and saying, I want my money back because John Cena's a wanker. That's what you want. You want angry Southern Americans phoning there. I want my money back because John Cena's an asshole. No one. You didn't tell me John Cena was going to be an asshole. You want those people who have bought one pay-per-view a year to be that angry that they're like, I'm going to go and shoot John Cena. you want those really.
I totally. I mean, I've always said that it has to be something massive because if you try to turn Cena heel, he won't turn heel. It's a really weird scenario.
If Cena does a standard heel turn where he, I don't know, Extreme Rules, right? He runs in during the Shield versus Team Hell No. Let's just say that match happens. He runs in and he punches Daniel Bryan. He helps knock Kane out. The Shield win the tag team championships, right? Let's say he does that. The little kids, boo, John Cena, boo. The people in the crowd of our age, like you and me, the smart wrestling fans, who are the ones who boo Cena now, are like, yeah, Cena, you're a badass again, yeah,
I think that's what it would be.
Yeah.
The fan would change. It would still be a 50-50 kind of split,
Mm.
but it would flip over to who's cheering and who's booing.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I think the only real way to turn Cena into a proper heel is you've got to have him do something that nobody ever expected. So you have him going into that match looking as weak as possible, right? You have him going into WrestleMania looking like the Undertaker's going to sweep him under the carpet like yesterday's dust, right? And you have Undertaker beat the absolute hell out of him in that match, right? You have Undertaker tombstone him maybe 3 times, and every time the announcer well, that's it, innit? You know, he's been hit with a tombstone. You know, John Cena's not going to get up. 1, 2, kick out. Oh my God, where's this coming from? How is John Cena kicking out? You know, 2, the second tombstone. 1, 2. Oh my God, Cena kicked out again. Cena, where's this life coming from? You know, and then he kicks out a 3rd time of a 3rd tombstone, and again it's, oh my God, Cena might actually be Superman, you know. And then you just have the camera look at Cena, you have him look up at the Undertaker in the ring. Undertaker does the neck slice to say, I'm going to finish you as soon as I get my hands on you. Something happens, the referee's down, Cena grabs the chain, one shot right in the Undertaker's right cheek. Undertaker drops like a sack of sand, and Cena just stands there, looks at him, looks at the crowd, smirks, and does the pin.
I honestly, I totally get it. But I mean, if I had a choice between Cena staying face and Undertaker losing the streak, I want Cena to stay face.
I think I'd be willing to sacrifice the Undertaker streak to have that kind of heel.
Yeah, I think
I didn't watch WCW during the Bash at the Beach, so I never experienced the Hogan.
Yeah.
I never experienced the Hogan turn, but having looked back on it, I see exactly how is over the turn for over the heel Hogan was. How hated he was, with the,
and then how cool he became.
You know, didn't Hogan say during that post when he came out and he turned heel, right? Didn't he say, "Look at all this crap in the ring"? Or you know, look at all this crap in the ring, you know. And I think that doing something like this at WrestleMania would be the only way to get that much crap in the ring again.
Yeah. I totally understand it. And
ultimately, you could bring back somebody in a managerial role backing Cena as well.
Mm.
So if you just essentially, right, play it like WWE is real, right, completely real, and you just essentially play it up exactly as it is. Vince McMahon. I'm going to use Vince McMahon for the example, but it doesn't have to be Vince. The Raw general manager. Laurinaitis would bloody work for this, right? Laurinaitis is the general manager of Raw. The general manager of WWE, right? He's the WWE manager, and he's backing Cena. He's putting Cena in all these favourable matches. He's the one who booked Cena at WrestleMania against The Undertaker, and you just essentially play it up, well, with the general manager in my back pocket. Cena doesn't lose.
Yeah.
You know, and essentially sort of tease the fact that you're saying, well, this shit's all fake and I ain't gonna lose. You know, and you could do that. You know, you could have Cena beating up wrestlers, Cena beating up Daniel Bryan, beating up Punk. Because I mean, if you turn Cena into this ultimate heel, right, everybody needs to go against him. Heel or face, they need to go against him. So you want Punk to say, well, I might not agree with what these fans say, but I bloody well hate you. You know, and every month somebody can say, well, whilst I might not like these fans, I bloody well hate you, John Cena. You know, and Cena keeps winning and winning and winning and winning. A year, maybe even a year and a half down the line, you get to another WrestleMania. And that's when he beats The Undertaker again, the second time. And The Undertaker's like, oh, God. You know, I couldn't beat I couldn't beat Cena. This time he beat me relatively fair. He taps Undertaker out or something, right? Undertaker essentially can then go away, and then he comes back towards the end, and Cena's in the ring. Taker comes out, and Cena says something along the lines of, "Oh, bloody hell, Taker, won't you go away? You know, won't you go away? I've beaten you 2 years running. What do you want this year?" Cena, "I'm not here to fight you this year. Instead, I'm here to hand-pick somebody to face you. My hand-picked man." And essentially turn Ziggler into the white light. Because Ziggler's young. Ziggler's got probably 10, 15 years in him.
Oh, no, completely. Do you know what? I think if Undertaker's streak was ever going to go...
That's how they've got to do it.
That's how they've got to do it, and it should just go. I'm not really into the Undertaker admitting that he's not strong enough to beat someone. Because I think that destroys
well,
character.
that's kind of what you do. I think you essentially drop the Undertaker's character after the second defeat, right? And the Undertaker comes out as the former locker room leader, kind of, and it's like, God, Cena, I didn't think I'd have to do this, but here I am, essentially warts and all. You know, I haven't got my makeup on. I haven't got my makeup on. I'm essentially the man that played the Undertaker. Right.
So basically, you're still saying he should come out as Mark Calloway.
Practically come out as Calloway, but like sort of have him come out. It's most likely going to be mostly American Badass Undertaker, right? But he essentially comes out and says, "Well, I gave it my all. I'm an old man, you know. I've been doing this for a long time, and I have never come up against a force like John Cena." Undertaker essentially is then putting Cena over. I've never come, you know, I'm the Undertaker, you know, I've been here since, I've been here since Hulk Hogan was here. I've wrestled Hulk Hogan, I've wrestled Sergeant Slaughter, I've been here through Shawn Michaels' entire career. Triple H, when he had the power of the WWE behind him, Evolution. Undertaker's lived through all of that. And if Undertaker then goes, "Well, I've never faced anything like you. But the thing, I'm too old I'm too old to beat you, Cena. But I've got a young man, and I've been secretly training him up all year. I've been teaching him the ways. I've been teaching him the ways of the Undertaker. And he's going to come out WrestleMania. You don't even tell us who this man is, right? But you have it booked. You have the pay-per-view advertised as the Undertaker promises that John Cena's reign of terror will end. Who has the Undertaker handpicked?
I totally get where you're coming from. I just would not personally, you know, as we're doing fantasy booking,
yeah,
I would just not do it.
I
honestly really do think it destroys too much of what has been built up for that WrestleMania streak. It destroys too much of what Undertaker's character is to be. If this guy's going to retire and then, you know, be finished with WWE and go into the Hall of Fame, I think he should end the streak as the American Badass so he can make his final farewell speech.
Yeah, he certainly needs to be humanised before he goes out.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I would never, ever give anyone that streak. Never in a million years.
Fair enough. We're on two different sides, but you know that's the fun in doing something like this, that we can disagree with each other and still have a good time doing it.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you want to talk predictions for Extreme Rules, which is in a couple of weeks?
Yeah, I'll happy to talk predictions. I think a lot of it's kind of writing itself.
Yeah. I kind of think a lot of the matches are relatively obvious. I mean, some of the matches haven't been announced. I watched half of SmackDown before I recorded this, before we came on to record this. So I do know of another match that's been announced.
I haven't actually had the chance to watch SmackDown yet today, but I mean, I can take an assumption of what we're getting. I mean, let's talk about what we do know. We know the WWE title's going on with John Cena versus Ryback.
Yep. That match hasn't got a stipulation. Do you think that match will have a stip? I think it's got to be Extreme Rules, hasn't it?
It's strange because every match they've done pretty much on this tour has been tables matches.
But normally the main event match of the pay-per-view is normally, of the Extreme Rules pay-per-view, is normally the Extreme Rules match, right?
Absolutely, like we had with John Cena and Brock Lesnar.
So do you think they add Extreme Rules to this one?
I don't know.
The beauty of Extreme Rules is if Cena is legitimately injured, I don't think he is, but if Cena is legitimately injured, if you do an Extreme Rules match, Plunder can cover it.
I agree, and I do wonder if, to be honest, I mean, you've got Ryback and you've got John Cena, who ultimately are both just brawlers.
Yeah.
There's no finesse, or with due respect to both of them, there's no wrestling skill there. Both their characters are built into a position, are moulded into being just fighters, brawlers. So an Extreme Rules match between these two makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Who wins it though?
Do you know what? I think John Cena has to win. I don't think he can go against...
I kind of think he does, but also part of me thinks, does that not derail the Ryback push that they seem to be giving him if he loses at first time out?
John Cena's been, had this whole build-up to, I can defeat The Rock at WrestleMania, I can take the WWE title off him. He does it. We have a passing of the torch. So, in essence, Rock's passed over John Cena. It seems very weird for the next pay-per-view for John Cena then to drop that WWE title.
Yeah.
Your comment about Ryback being built up again, I still don't think he's been built back up at all. I still feel that there's something behind that character we're missing. We're missing something about it, because when he first came in, he was demolishing 2 at a time, 3 at a time, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Undefeated, and then since he lost his match at Hell in a Cell against CM Punk, he hasn't won on pay-per-view since.
No, he hasn't.
And, it's really then difficult to buy into his character, to think, even losing to Mark Henry in the second match of WrestleMania in a very weird finish, to then go the next night, walk out and go, I must be the number 1 contender for the WWE title. There's nothing been built back to Ryback. And
Ryberg is completely understandable given how he looked on Raw.
Exactly. And do you know what? I'm bored already. I'm really bored of this character. I think when WCW did Goldberg, and this is where all comparisons are being made between the two, when WCW did Goldberg, they did it so well.
Yeah, in fact, they gave him a 173 unbeaten streak.
Yeah. And they gave him the United States title.
Granted, if you look back, right, they added a couple onto that streak without telling you. They were like between nitros. I'm sure somebody said this before. Between nitros, he went from like 87 to 93 or something. And
he won on house shows.
And then they never sort of said, oh well, he won on house shows during one. But I kind of think that. I kind of like the idea of them doing that with. I liked what they were doing with Ryback originally, but I think they've ruined him now.
Yeah, completely. I mean, when you take away this streak that you had this undefeated streak. I think they booked themselves into a corner with John Cena being injured.
Mm-hmm.
And I completely think they basically didn't know what to do when it came to coming up to CM Punk, because I always said CM Punk was always going to retain over John Cena anyway, if that match was going to happen at Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
And then you had Ryback putting it all of a sudden, because at the beginning of the show, the guy's fighting The Miz and going on for a push for the IC title, and by the end of it, he's facing up to CM Punk for the WWE title.
Yeah.
It was rushed, it was out of control, and then from then, I just don't know if they even knew what to do with the guy, and he's destroyed. I mean, I don't know how on earth they're going to even try and start to rebuild him.
So the match, the other match we've got the Brock Lesnar versus Triple H in, as Paul Heyman put it, a down and dirty, old school steel cage.
Is it going to be old school cage though?
Well, I'm just going. Those were Heyman's words. I don't think.
Are we going to get the match?
Because if you want a violent match, you don't really want the blue bars, because the blue bars, whilst they are, whilst it's quite effective to have the blue bars, or they are old school. I don't. Have you ever caught your hand on chicken wire?
Yeah.
That stuff cuts like anything.
Mm.
So I kind of think you have the mesh steel cage, and honestly, I think you do have blood in that match, and not blading, no, not blading. You have the hard ways cut each other on that mesh.
I mean,
Because it's easy enough to do the whole grinding the face into the mesh.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and it's a great spot to have, and I think, all the matches, if they were going to have blood, I think, this one kind of needed it at WrestleMania, to be honest, and if they were holding off to do it at Extreme Rules, then I've got nothing but praise for them for doing it.
Who wins the match, though?
Brock Lesnar.
It's got to be, isn't it? Lesnar can't afford another loss.
No, not at all. I mean, this guy, to be fair, has only won one match since he's come back.
Yeah, I kind of think, I want it to be that Lesnar beats Triple H so badly that we don't see Triple H again for months.
I think it has to be done as well. I think this match has been rushed on the card for some reason for Extreme Rules. It's the match that they're pushing towards as their main event in essence as well.
You could even play it up, right, that Lesnar beat Triple H so bad, right, that he's got a form of amnesia or something, and he's gone, right, he's completely gone. And you can have Heyman do a power play.
I've always thought that that's what they were going to go with Heyman.
Yeah, but you have Lesnar beat Triple H so badly that maybe Triple H signs something over to Heyman in character. Maybe he beats Triple H so bad, Triple H comes back to work a bit too early and he can't remember what happened. And Paul Heyman wanders into his office and says, "Oh, can you, Mr. H, can you sign these forms?" And it's a contract to give Paul Heyman control of the WWE or something.
Sounded very Eric Bischoff and TNA Dixie, isn't it?
Yeah, essentially, yeah, And you do something like that,
Signing over power to Hogan. Yeah, I mean, that's another avenue I think they could go down. I really always thought that...
Because genuinely,
for power anyway, with... I mean, it's been pointed out a few times on TV that Vicky Guerrero isn't the general manager.
She's the executive assistant.
Yeah, and with her, with Brad Maddox being her assistant as well. It's always been said that, Booker T's your main general manager. He's the only general manager.
Well, I'll not to do a spoiler for SmackDown or anything, right? But Teddy Long is very stereotypical on SmackDown.
Oh, don't say we're going to get ourselves a tag team match.
Yeah. But I'm not one to do spoilers, but I tweeted about it while I was watching SmackDown, right? Tag team match, player. 5 minutes later, 3-team tag team match, player.
Oh, God. Okay, hang on. I'm going to try and guess this as well. Because I think there's only one way. If it's a triple threat tag, it's got to involve the world title triple threat. Yeah. Which means it's got to be Alberto Del Rio and Ricardo Rodriguez. Versus Jack Swagger and Zeb Coulter.
Yep.
Versus Dolph Ziggler and Big E.
Yeah. And that all of that explodes out of a match between Zeb and Ricardo.
That match is happening in Extreme Rules.
Zeb and Ricardo?
Yeah, it's some sort of tuxedo match or something.
Yeah, that will probably happen. But you've got Zeb and Ricardo having their match on SmackDown. Then you've got Alberto interferes to ward off Jack Swagger. Ziggler's at ringside with AJ and Big E. And then Teddy's out, tag team match, player. And then during the tag team match, Ziggler just goes, "Do you know what? I'm going in there." And in goes Ziggler and Big E. Teddy Long runs out again, ridiculously out of breath, considering he must just be standing behind the curtain for this spot. And seriously, Teddy Long always pants when he comes out. He wanders through the thing, absolutely fine. He's like, tag team match, player.
Do you think they're trying to make out that he's run from his locker room?
That's essentially, he's run from his office. That's what they're supposed to do. But clearly, with the amount of time, he didn't have time to get back to his office. There's no way he had time to get back to his office, There's no way he had time to get back to his office, sit down, turn his monitor on, and start watching oh God, I've got to go back out there, It's sort of like, but yeah, that's happened. So anyway, on to Extreme Rules. You've got, we were talking about the Brock Lesnar beating Triple H, and the power play, right?
Yep.
Do we do Shield versus Hell No for the tag titles?
Let's talk about the world title because we know that one's confirmed.
Yeah, we know that one's on. Triple threat ladder match.
It's intriguing because, as pointed out to me, because I didn't realise straight away, they're
I
both
didn't
also
either.
former Money in the Bank winners.
Yeah, they pointed it out on SmackDown as well.
Which, then all of a sudden it made sense to me. Because
It's
I'd forgotten ADR had won it and won Money in the Bank. And I thought, well, the last title match, the last ladder match for the title he lost against Christian. So why is this like, why is it a good match for him?
I never forget that Alberto won the Money in the Bank. Because Alberto was the one who held the Raw Money in the Bank Championship when Punk beat Cena and was running out with the title.
Mm.
And Vince said, quick, get Alberto out here, get Alberto out here. And then you've got like a ridiculously flustered Alberto Del Rio running down to the ring, pulling his knee pad up, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that is right. But yeah, we've got a triple threat, we've got a ladder match. To be honest, I think Dolph
Ziggler has to win it.
Yeah, I think Dolph
part of me thinks though that everybody's knocked out, right? And Big E and AJ get the briefcase down and lay it on Ziggler's chest and hand it to him. I think AJ and Big E go up that ladder.
I think WWE do the same rules as TNA, whereas you have to get the belt off the hook and get to the mat at the same time.
I think you do have to, but I kind of think that you're definitely going to have the side characters going up that ladder. Zeb Coulter will get in the ring at some point and go up that ladder.
Yeah, I agree.
AJ will. Ricardo will definitely. Especially if Ricardo and Coulter have had a match earlier in the night.
Do you think? Okay, let's look at another way. Do you think the world title ladder match needs to go on before what I predict is two matches that are going to happen, which is AJ Lee and Caitlyn, and Big E and Kofi?
It has to go on after those.
You think they have to have the titles before that match happens?
They have to have those titles so that when Ziggler wins it, the two of them slide into the ring, possibly at the top of the ladder even.
Yeah.
So you've got Big E with his belt in say his left hand. Ziggler sat on Big E's shoulder, holding the world title above his head with both hands, right? With AJ on his arm, sort of.
Yeah.
And you've got that image.
Yeah.
You've got that image of the three of them holding their titles, and Ziggler has to be the one who keeps hold of his title last.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the ultimate image I've actually got in my head is AJ stood sort of 2 steps down from the top on one side, Big E the same on the other, and
Ziggler sat on the top of the ladder. Yeah.
With all three of them holding up the belts.
Yeah.
I really do think at Extreme Rules that whole team Ziggler are walking out full of gold.
Oh yeah.
I think that's a natural progression. It was strange that Kofi won the United States title. I think he's going to be another transitional champion like he's been before. I think there's more money in Caitlyn chasing AJ for the Divas title than the other way around.
Yeah, there's always money in the face chasing the heel.
I totally agree, and I kind of look forward to those two being in a match. To be honest, I'm a massive fan of AJ Lee's in-ring skills.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's grown loads. I think Caitlyn is definitely getting there. She still needs some work, but I think Caitlyn is definitely getting there.
Whilst we mentioned the Divas match, that it hasn't, whilst it hasn't been announced, who do we think is Caitlyn's stalker?
There's 3 names that come to mind for me.
Yeah.
AJ, Big E, and Cody Rhodes.
I jokingly said on Twitter, does anybody remember NXT before it went to the developmental NXT? Do you remember who Caitlyn was paired with in a romantic relationship?
Do you know, I can't at all.
She was paired with Derek Bateman.
Bateman, of course she was.
Now, could you have it as the way of bringing him up? Because of the wording of the note on Raw. I've watched you grow. Something along the lines of, you've come so far in the last year. Now that says to me, well, you were on NXT a year ago.
Yeah, some sort of history.
Somebody who's got a bit of history with him, with her. with a.
Yeah, that's definitely a
But I
possible.
mean, nobody else is going to remember that.
It's a way of introducing Derek Bateman to the main audience.
I was very much behind Bateman during that period, and I was the one who was saying, "Oh, Bateman's going to win NXT. Bateman's going to come to WWE. Bateman's going to be the future." I look so stupid now, and I really want WWE to pay me back for that. You know, I followed the bloke on Twitter for years, and it's all like, come on, give me, throw a dude a bone a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
Let's put Bateman on WWE so that at least I don't look stupid amongst my peers. Because honestly, I thought Bateman was so funny and so entertaining. All of that stuff with Johnny Curtis and Maxine.
Yeah, he had a great little gimmick on NXT. I just wonder, for it to be the Caitlyn story, you kind of have to remember who Bateman is to start with.
Yeah.
And, it draws me more to it being Cody Rhodes because they kind of touched on it a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
They kind of went there a little bit.
I did see something interesting. I'm not sure if it was on somebody's show or if it was on the internet. But what about if it's Damien Sandow? Right, Damien Sandow was sort of like, oh, you don't want to get involved with her, Cody. Come with me. Look. Here's the Bellas. One of them's got new boobs. Come on, you don't want anything to do with her. Look, Bellas, And it would be kind of funny if all of the time he was like, come on, Bellas, Damien Sandow was like, oh, I love you, Caitlyn, ooh, and it's sort of like playing up the whole. Well, I'm just going to encourage my best friend to not go after that girl, so I can. And sort of, he's doing like man tactics almost.
It'd be intriguing then if it is Sandow to see the note, just to see if it's grammatically correct. There's so many possibilities. I mean, it's only really been thrown at us this week. And Caitlyn's kayfabing it on Twitter.
Yep, she had a letter and some roses on SmackDown. And
she's saying on Twitter, "Oh, I need a new grill," or
yeah. I kind of think the way Caitlyn's doing that on Twitter, she's taking the piss out of the TNA knockouts who've all got Amazon wish lists.
Quite possibly, yeah.
That's clearly what she's trying to do there. She's, they've got like these Amazon wish lists, and it's kind of funny to look at some of their Amazon wish lists, honestly, because it's like, surely you're not smart enough to read that book.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember who it was. I think it might have been SoCal Val had like, what was it? Had like some sort of really educational book, and I was sort of thinking, I can't see you reading that.
Yeah.
And it's really cheap stuff as well. Some of them have got on their Amazon wish lists.
Well, this Caitlyn story, how long do you keep it going until you reveal who it is?
Ooh, I think you could keep it going maybe a month. Honestly. I don't think you don't blow it at the pay-per-view.
Because, to be honest, the last time I can remember, and I'm sure I can be corrected if I'm wrong, the last time I remember something like this happening where someone had a mysterious fan who was buying them loads and loads of presents, was the $1 Million Man and Sapphire.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, it may have happened before, and I've not seen it.
There've been stalker angles before, but not anything like this, I don't think, involving a diva, no?
No, I'm not sure that it's been... Obviously, yeah, like you said, we've had the stalker angles with Mickie James and Trish Stratus.
And DDP and The Undertaker's wife.
Yeah, and Sarah. So, I mean, those stuff have happened, but I can't remember the last time someone had this sort of secret admirer buying gifts kind of angle. For, this must be 20-odd years.
There is... I don't know. There is one. I think this Caitlyn angle goes on until you're ready to reveal someone. I mean, if you're going to reveal Cody Rhodes, you could do it at the pay-per-view. But if you're going to take it long, and I kind of hope they do take it long, and they make it quite a nice comedy angle, right? And I mean stuff like Caitlyn arranges to meet this guy, right? So during like the length of a Raw, you know, you go to these little segments and you follow Caitlyn while she tries to go and meet up with this bloke. And every time she goes there, she meets somebody ludicrous who she wouldn't be interested in. You know, I mean, the equivalent of like she'd go somewhere, she'd like run into essentially someone grotesquely overweight or something. And she's like, oh, you're not my stalker. And then, like, her phone beeps, and she looks at her phone. Sorry, can't make the meeting. Can I meet you in an hour or something? And you've just got Caitlyn running around these places trying to meet up with this bloke, and she's never getting there.
I mean, something like that.
She goes to this place, and she's, like, waiting somewhere. She's sat at, like, a restaurant table. And she sees a bloke walking over, and the perfect person to do it with, who isn't with the company anymore, would be Viscera. And she just sort of sat there, and Viscera comes to the table, and she goes, "Oh God, no, you're not my secret admirer, I hope."
Maybe they will bring back the Love Walrus just for one episode.
You know, she goes somewhere and she runs into Mark Henry or something, but he's a heel character, so that wouldn't work. But you know what I mean? She runs into these like unfitting people, you know.
I think linking it back into Extreme Rules as well.
Mm.
I think during that match, maybe someone has to come out with a present for her.
Yeah.
What leads to the distract, which could lead to, you know, the Shining Wizard or whatever from.
That could work. Yeah. If you're gonna play it up that it's someone doing it to help AJ, right? So you're saying either Big E or AJ doing it, right? You have a bellhop or someone, a delivery bloke, coming down with like this big, tall box.
Yeah.
Do you remember when? I'm trying to think. Do you remember when? I think it was the Big Show sent the Undertaker a singing telegram, and it was Brian Kendrick.
Oh, of course, yeah, I do remember that.
Something like that.
Mm.
And something like that, and it distracts her enough for AJ to get the win.
Yeah.
Distract them enough, and then at the end of the match, AJ's celebrating. Say it is AJ who's done all this, right? And AJ's celebrating, holding the title, and the guy who distracted Caitlyn walks over to AJ. She shakes his hand and pays him.
Yeah.
She shakes his hand and pays him his tip and sends him on his way, and then the commentary's like, oh, God, so it was AJ then, you know? Something like that.
Yeah.
That could work.
No, yeah, I totally think in any kind of angle like that, because I think that's the way it's got to be done. I think there needs to be a slight distraction or a slight cheat maybe for AJ to win the match.
Yeah.
And I think it would still work. I mean, if you Big E over Kofi, I think Big E needs to be destructive.
Yeah, Big E just beats Kofi Kingston like the proverbial red-headed stepchild.
Mm. Well, you know what? We've covered a lot of Extreme Rules there. Let's do it. Let's talk about the Shield.
Mm-hmm. Shield versus Team Hell No for the tag titles.
Who from the Shield?
Ambrose and Rollins.
You know, that's what I say. A lot of people disagree with me, but that's what I say.
Because, and I said this when I spoke with Andy, right? You have Rollins and Ambrose as the wrestlers in the match, let's say. I'm just saying wrestlers just to separate them from Reigns. And the whole time during the match, Reigns is just walking in a circle around the ring. Just sort of standing there, sort of, cracking his knuckles, right? Cracking his knuckles, sort of, nudging his shoulders and stuff, and walking round the ring in a circle, constantly, keeps going round and round and round, and the match continues on, and every so often the announcers point to the fact, the Roman Reigns is still outside the ring, Michael. He could interfere at any moment, and Team Hell No would have no chance if the destructive Reigns got involved in this match, and something like that, and round and round, and he keeps walking around the ring, and then the match ends, the Shield have won the titles, right? He immediately turns straight into the ring and starts beating on the other member of Team Hell No.
Yeah. No, I think it's,
this angry shark circling.
It's just like, Shield have to win these titles.
Oh, yeah.
I think if they were to lose now, I think you'd take away momentum. And again, you can have Team Hell No come back at them at Payback, and the Shield to defend. I think it would be the right move for WWE to do. You know, they are such a destructive force now. They've taken out everyone. For them to lose to Kane and Daniel Bryan when they've already beaten them on 3-on-3 matches twice, I think would be quite peculiar, especially when you consider Hell No's tag team partners in those other 6-man tag matches have been Ryback and The Undertaker.
Yeah,
it's strange for then Hell No just to win.
Yeah, I'll have to encourage you and the other people watching, listening to this to watch the one that I'll be putting up. That where I spoke with Andy, he had a cracking idea for Team Hell No breaking up. I'm not going to claim it. Andy said it, and you'll be able to hear it on there. But it was a hell of an idea of how to break up team, where to go with Team Hell No when they break up. Because the problem you've got is if Team Hell No break up, right, you need a face and you need a heel. So how do you do it, Steve? In your opinion, how would you do it? How do you do it?
I can't believe, isn't it again like we've had this sort of feeling that now they're not going to have the gold, so they must be splitting up as a tag team, wrestling mentality again.
Yeah, but I mean, if you do break them up at this match, what do you do? I mean, Kane can't go heel, can he?
The thing is, Kane's always under the mask.
Yeah.
Suits being a heel.
Yeah, but Kane has been too jokey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Heel now, you know.
You know, it would make sense for Daniel Bryan to be the heel out of the two because the guy needs to be rebuilt again. You know, the man's awesome. What a worker. There's no doubt about it. If you could put him again in that, you know, that same class of Shawn Michaels and Dolph Ziggler, you know, and CM Punk, you know, he is in there as that class of worker. But the character itself has been made into a joke.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And you need to, in some way, rebuild that character again. And he, you know, his character was awesome as a heel. And, you know, logics would say that if you're going to rebuild Daniel Bryan, you make him the heel. But history says Kane's a good heel.
Yeah.
And it's a very strange way.
You've got a slight problem in terms of you've got if you're gonna have them feud with each other post breakup, you need a face and a heel.
Yeah.
And neither of them. Well, I mean, you know, Daniel Bryan's tried being a heel. I wasn't sure about it, you know. Daniel Bryan tried being a heel when he was being the abusive boyfriend to AJ, and if he's the heel, then you've got the opposite of what is traditional wrestling. The little guy is the heel, the big guy is the face.
Yes, I agree with that, yes.
Because the traditional thing is the little guy, in the case of WrestleMania 3, the little guy who was Hulk Hogan was going up against the big monster, the big giant monster, you know, Andre the Giant. So it's a very difficult situation, really.
Do you know what? I think a lot of it's going to come down to who the fans want to cheer for as well.
Yeah.
Coming out of that split. And how they do it. Really. But I think a lot of it's going to be down to where the fans, well, you know, what side the fans choose to be on. Yeah.
So we've sort of run down Extreme Rules. There aren't any more matches, so let's talk. Oh, actually, yeah, there is. There's a match that was booked at a match that was announced on SmackDown. So if for those watching who haven't seen SmackDown, frankly, by the time this is out, if you haven't seen SmackDown, you're not going to watch SmackDown because this one's going to take a while to get out. Randy Orton versus Big Show.
Yeah, but it's been on the cards for a long time, isn't it?
It's been on the cards, but Big Show came out during Randy Orton's match with Damien Sandow and said that and was like and distracted Randy Orton. Damien Sandow hit the terminus, and Big Show just laughed at him.
Do you know what? It's just I still think that, or I thought up until you said that we were getting a tag match. I really thought we were getting Randy Orton and Sheamus versus the Big Show and Mark Henry.
You're going to get Sheamus versus Mark Henry, aren't you, one-on-one?
But you're going to get Sheamus and Mark Henry again one-on-one?
I think so, yeah.
That's the kind of route it seems to be going down. I mean, there's an awful lot of matches that we're looking at the moment.
Yeah.
In all honesty, Big Show needs to go over Randy Orton.
And I think Mark Henry needs to beat Sheamus.
And I think Mark Henry will beat Sheamus. I don't think you can come off a win against Ryback at WrestleMania and lose to Sheamus at Extreme Rules. Doesn't make any sense to me.
Completely.
It's very weird booking because this Mark Henry thing's come out of nowhere.
Yeah. Completely.
Because it was Randy Orton, Show and Sheamus that were having the disagreements, and then all of a sudden Mark Henry's just involved.
Completely, yeah.
It very much came out of nowhere, and it seems very odd, and it is very much like, well, we need to give Mark Henry something to do.
Yeah.
And he shouldn't lose. I really don't think he should lose. I'm, one of the bigger probably fans of Mark Henry, not for his in-ring work, but just for the way that his character's been built up as this monster and this, the Hall of Pain and, and going over people like Ryback. And when he was in the Elimination Chamber, he looked so incredibly strong. It was unreal, the strongest out of all of them.
Yeah.
And that needs to continue. I think losing to someone like Sheamus would be a ridiculous move.
Completely. So that's those two matches that we see. I think it's probably better that we start to wrap up. That is.
I was going to say, you thought you were going to have a little rap there, are you, Tom?
Yeah, I'm not. It's not particularly the beatboxer. So if we wrap up a little, can you give the guys the details on how they get in touch with you personally on social media and how they get in touch with you guys at TWS?
Yeah, no problem. If they want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at TWS_awesome. That is the best way to follow me. The Total Wrestling Show is at TWS Mania on Twitter, which is generally monitored by me anyway, so if you're tweeting me, you're tweeting the show as well. You can check out the website, totalwrestlingshow.com or facebook.com/TWS Live. There's always interaction going on there. We're live every Wednesday and every Sunday from 7 p.m.
So, yeah, and obviously if you guys want to like and comment on this video, I try and reply to every comment on the videos, because I don't get enough of them for it to be too difficult. But like and comment on the video and follow me on Twitter at TomWilliams1990, and I will happily discuss the content of the channel. So cheers for giving me quite a lot of your time, actually, Steve.
Yeah, no, I wasn't quite expecting that. I thought, we'll have to sit and have a little chat.
We got an hour and 23 on the clock,
Yeah.
I
quite enjoyed it.
I'm quite concerned how I'm going to do the chat with Dan. He's told me I've got 30 minutes maximum.
You'll be amazed once you get him going.
I'm gonna see, because I'm gonna sort of keep it relatively brief when I speak to Dan. But yeah, cheers for being on Tom's chat room, Steve, and hopefully we'll speak again.
No, absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.